Good morning. I'm Chief Roundtree of the Winston-Salem Police Department. Thank you for attending the November media briefing. The order for today will be the Police Department, followed by Director Mayo Sattler of Emergency Management, and then we'll have the Fire Department Chief Mayo. Before we get started, I want to take this opportunity to thank all the veterans on Veterans Day. Thank all the veterans everywhere, and specifically the veterans that are serving in public safety. I want to open our portion of the media briefing by honoring our fallen officers who died in the month of November. First, we'll start with Detective W.G. Willard, end of watch, Tuesday, November the 1st, 1938. Cause of death, gunfire. Detective Willard succumbed to gunshot wounds sustained 4 days earlier during a shootout with a suspect. Detective Willard was shot while attempting to arrest a suspect on gambling charges. Detective Willard was shot with a .45 slug in his stomach and kidney. The suspect was also killed during the shootout. Next, we'll honor Patrolman John Franklin Wimbish, in the watch, Saturday, November the 1st, 1952. Cause of death, vehicle pursuit. Patrolman Wimbish was killed during an automobile accident on Old Lexington Road while involved in a vehicle pursuit. His partner, Bob Petticord, was severely injured. The driver of the speeding car was never apprehended. Next, we'll honor Patrolman Grover Cleveland Haley Jr., end of watch, Tuesday, November the 28th, 1945. Cause of death, motorcycle accident. Date of incident was Thursday, November the 22nd, 1945. Patrolman Haley was killed in a motorcycle accident on Stadium Drive when a dog ran into his motorcycle and became stuck in the front wheel. Patrolman Haley was thrown from the motorcycle and received fatal head injuries. Let us all pause for a moment as we remember and honor these fallen officers. Thank you. And before we get started, I also just wanted to thank all the members of the Winston-Salem Police Department for your service and your dedication to the city of Winston-Salem. Our list of topics that we'll be discussing today: first, we'll have traffic and pedestrian safety tips that will be provided by Corporal Harry White. We'll also have holiday shopping and safety tips by Captain Doug Nance. We'll have holiday scams that will be presented by Sergeant Kevin Bell. And we'll highlight our Community Resources Unit initiatives by Lieutenant Tyrone Phelps. And he will be covering handicap parking enforcement and also our Stuff to Patrol car initiative. First, we'll have Corporal Harry White.
Good morning. I'm Corporal White with the Traffic Enforcement Unit, and I'm here to talk about driving during the holiday season. Holiday events can be exciting times for friends and family to get together. As the holiday season is approaching, let's be mindful of actions that will make our holiday travel safer. A few simple adjustments can prevent celebrations from becoming tragic. Here are a few tips that may help protect you and your passengers. 1, before your trip, complete a vehicle inspection to make sure your car is safe for operation. Check your tires for wear and tear, your air pressure, and make sure you have enough gas. 2, properly restrain yourself and all passengers. That's the law. Be flexible when it comes to making your travel plans. Leave early to avoid peak travel times, and if snow is predicted, adjust your plans accordingly. It's better to reschedule your trip than to become stranded or to wreck your vehicle. Stay alert and attentive when traveling long distances. If you need to, take plenty of breaks, pack drinks, snacks. Take advantage of rest areas and don't push yourself to meet unrealistic schedules. Most crashes occur during the late night, early morning hours, or later on in the afternoon when drivers are less attentive. Next, keep your speed down, obey the speed limit, and give yourself plenty of distance. Let the impatient and aggressive drivers pass you. Remember, driving takes your full attention. Please be mindful when using your cell phones. If possible, utilize hands-free devices and minimize your phone conversations. Remember, never text and drive. Finally, if there's going to be drinking at your holiday gathering, choose a designated driver who will remain sober. Expect DWI checkpoints and increased police presence. The Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's season are one of the most dangerous times to drive, and typically there are more impaired drivers out there. Over 40% of all fatal crashes are alcohol-related, and alcohol-related crashes are more likely to occur during the late evening and night hours. About 2/3 of all DWI convictions are first-time offenders. So, with that in mind, don't believe you can dodge the DWI bullet. No one's immune. Do what you can to avoid becoming a statistic. You will need to take extra care when traveling during the holiday periods because of increased traffic and people driving in unfamiliar environments. Being courteous and remembering to share the road with others and allowing time for breaks can help you keep your cool when driving during these times. Please follow the tips that I went over to ensure your travel is safe and pleasurable. Thank you. Drive safe.
Good morning. I'm Doug Nance, the captain of District 3. I'll be covering holiday safety tips. The purpose of this presentation is to provide a variety of safety tips to help ensure your holiday is both a safe and pleasurable experience. First and foremost, the Winston-Salem Police Department is committed to providing the residents of Winston-Salem and the patrons of our businesses the safest environment possible. However, this cannot be achieved without your assistance, as your active participation is critical in reaching this goal. I will provide a myriad of recommended and proven safety measures you can implement to minimize the likelihood of you or your home being victimized during the holiday season. Situational awareness, basically knowing your environment. Always remain alert to your surroundings and the people around you. Do not let the hectic nature of the holiday season compromise your attentiveness. Take a friend or family member with you when you shop. If possible, shop before dark. If this is not feasible, then you are strongly encouraged to shop with a friend or a family member. If you are dependent upon public transportation or a ride from a friend, always wait in well-lit locations. Avoid carrying large amounts of cash. If you do so, don't carry it all in the same place. Credit cards, debit cards, or checks should be the preferred method of payment when possible. Always remain diligent with your purses or wallets. Purses should be carried tightly under your arm and never left unattended. Wallets should be secured in a garment and out of view. Avoid carrying an excessive amount of packages. They serve as a distractor, leave you initially defenseless, and increase your vulnerability. Wear proper attire. For example, high heels can increase your vulnerability. Always carry a fully charged phone. However, avoid texting while you are walking in the parking lot. Vehicle safety tips. Always lock your car and close your windows. Unlocked cars are the primary targets of auto breakers, and the lure of gifts in your car will only further increase the risk. Park in well-lighted areas. It is preferred that you lock all your valuables in the trunk, but at a minimum, ensure that valuables left in the passenger compartment are concealed. Scan your surroundings prior to exiting your car. Do not stop and engage strangers. Avoid people or vehicles that appear more interested in your activity than their own. Always know where you are and remember where you parked. When returning to your car, have your keys in your hands. After entering your vehicle, immediately lock the doors. Regarding parking spaces, please don't allow a disagreement over a parking space to escalate to physical violence. There are senseless instances of this every year on the national level. Home safety tips. Don't display gifts where they may be seen through a window or a doorway. Lock windows and doors even if you leave only for a few minutes. Use automatic timers for your lights to create the illusion you're at home. Consider the installation of an alarm or motion sensor lights. In the event you are absent from your home for an extended period of time, ask a neighbor to watch your home, collect your newspapers and mail, accept package deliveries, and also be mindful that you can also put a stop on your mail delivery by utilizing the U.S. Request Hold Mail service, which can be completed online. Volunteer to do this very same thing for your neighbors, as networking amongst neighbors is the most effective tool to deter crime in your neighborhoods. Avoid advertising your gifts with empty boxes. Conceal them in a trash container or trash bags. Closely review your credit card bill to immediately detect fraudulent behavior, which also applies to online shopping. Keep all of your shopping receipts. Photograph all items of value and always record their serial numbers. This is an extremely important step in the success of recovering stolen property. All of the crime prevention tips that's just been provided can be located on the police department's website, www.wspd.org. You will find crime prevention on the right side of the homepage. Under crime prevention, you will find numerous holiday safe shopping tips in both English and Spanish. Furthermore, the Winston-Salem Police Department will again implement the Holiday Task Force this year. The task force will kick off on November 27th, which is Black Friday. Officers will be concentrated in areas within the city that have traditionally experienced a high volume of traffic associated with holiday shopping. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Sergeant Kevin Bell with the Financial Crimes section of the Criminal Investigations Division, and I'm just going to speak to you a moment about some common financial scams that we see specifically during this time of year. Fake charities being the first. Charities rely on this time of year specifically for the bulk of their contributions, and we would just like the public to remember to be mindful that they could be the victim of a scam. If they don't verify that the charity they are giving to is in fact a legitimate one, the Better Business Bureau's Wise Giving Alliance gives a very helpful website for this called www.give.org, where you can go and find out about the specific charity you're thinking of, and even find some more resources about where you might go for more information. Grandparent scam is one that we see commonly throughout the year, but we do see an uptick in it at Christmas time. Typically, a scammer will target elderly victims by phone, posing as a loved one or a grandchild, a family member, claiming to be in need of money, whether being stranded somewhere for automotive failure or in jail somewhere. We would just caution the public to use due diligence to take additional steps before just sending money, calling the other family members of the person who's supposedly calling them, and always calling a number that you're familiar with rather than just relying upon the information being given to you over the telephone. Gift card scams, that's certainly a very popular option as people give Christmas gifts. We would just advise avoiding purchasing cards online from anyone other than a reputable merchant. What you may be purchasing may not be what it's advertised as, the dollar amount being zero, in fact. in contradiction with the face value that's on the card. Certainly don't purchase cards from strangers in parking lots. That's a recipe to certainly be ripped off, and we do see that from time to time. Even when buying it in stores, an important thing to do is to check the scratch-off portion on the back of the card to make sure that it's not been tampered with. If someone's already obtained that numerical code, they can just be waiting for you to activate the card by purchase, and then they would be able to access the funds on that card prior to you being able to use them. Package delivery thefts we certainly see more of during Christmas time. It's not uncommon for thieves to follow delivery trucks in residential neighborhoods and then walk up to the porches and take those packages. If no one is home when you're expecting a package, we would recommend you perhaps consider having the package delivered to a neighbor's home or another family member's home, maybe even to your work home. Most of the delivery services give a variety of options as well. They have their own access points that they might deliver them to at your request, just so you can ensure that you get the package that you've paid for. Another situational awareness thing, similar in nature to what Captain Nance went over, would be the pickpocket thefts that occur when people are in crowded shopping locations. These are some general things like having your wallet in your front pocket rather than your back pocket. If items of value are in purses, having those purses zippered or snapped shut. And then also in vehicles, at large purchases, if possible, it's recommended that you keep those purchases in the trunks of vehicles or at best out of view if they're in the passenger compartment. And in those long shopping days, we'd also recommend not just loading up from store after store after store, but if possible to make trips home to drop off packages rather than stowing them in vehicles. I thank you for your time this morning.
Good morning. I'm Tyrone Phelps, a lieutenant currently assigned to the Chief's office. The Community Resources Unit is seeking volunteers to help enforce handicap parking violations throughout the city. Volunteers chosen for this position will be provided training and allowed to enforce any handicap parking violations that are seen. To be considered for this position, volunteers must have no felony or criminal misdemeanor convictions during the past 5 years. A background check will be conducted. Applications for this position can be located on our website, wspd.org, or you can contact Sergeant Mark Snow with any questions at area code 336-414-4190. The Community Resources Unit and the Community Relations Specialist ask for the public's assistance in making our second annual Stuff the Patrol Car campaign a huge success. The Stuff the Patrol Car campaign is one of our community outreach programs where we provide toys to children of families who otherwise would not be able to afford these gifts. We are asking for an unwrapped new toy to be placed in our patrol car until the car is completely filled. The Stuff the Patrol Car campaign will take place at the Walmart store located at 320 East Haynesmill Road from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on the following days: December the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd, the 7th, the 8th, and the 9th. We want to thank Walmart for being a community partner in helping us to serve our citizens. Are there any questions for me? Thank you, Chief.
Thank you all. Those are the topics that we have to cover for this month's press briefing. All our PowerPoints will be uploaded to our website shortly after this program. Next, we'll have our Director of Emergency Management, Mel Sadler.
Good morning. I'm Mel Sadler, Director of Emergency Management for the City of Winston-Salem and Forsyth County. Our department is relatively small compared to these other mega departments that you're going to hear from today. So consequently, we work with other departments and agencies within the city and the county to accomplish our mission. One of our really strong partners, and we really enjoyed a working relationship with them for a number of years, is the Public Safety Department, Public Health Department. We work with them and they work with us, and we have done a number of things. We are currently entering into the winter season, and we are going to be given some information from the Public Health Department in respect to seasonal flu and flu prevention. Today we'll hear from Marlon Hunter, who is the Public Health Director for Forsyth County. Mr. Hunter.
Morning, everyone. Marlon Hunter, and I'm the Director of the Forsyth County Department of Public Health. I'm glad to be here with all of you. I'm here to talk to you today about seasonal flu. Each year I try to come and talk about flu with all of you in our community to raise awareness about the importance of getting a flu shot. The flu season typically runs from October through March, although we tend to see a lag in flu related illnesses and death beyond that time, but typically that is our flu season, and so we want to make sure to get out in front and make sure we're raising awareness. In the United States, each year, on average, about 5 to 20% of the population gets the flu. More than 200,000 people are hospitalized each year from complications associated with the flu. Our flu season is very unpredictable, and from year to year, it is very difficult, as you've all had a chance to read and sometimes recognize, to predict what kind of flu vaccine and how strong our flu vaccine should be and what strains we need to protect our public from in that vaccine. Over a period of the last 30 years between 1976 and 2006, it is estimated by the Centers for Disease Control that in the United States between 3,000 and 49,000 people die each year from the flu. More specific data points to an average of around 30,000 people that die each year in the United States from the flu or complications associated with the flu. In North Carolina, there were 218 flu deaths in the flu season starting 2014 through the beginning of 2015, and 107 flu deaths in North Carolina during the flu season in the years 2013 through 2014. In Forsyth County, specifically, there were 14 deaths in 2014, in the 2014-2015 flu season, and 4 flu-related deaths in the 2013-14 flu season. So you see the huge variabilities in the number of deaths from just a 2-year span, and so that does coincide with the information from the Centers for Disease Control in terms of how unpredictable the flu can be each year. We do want to encourage more vulnerable populations to get a flu shot. So the elderly, young children, pregnant women are people typically at a higher risk, as well as those individuals that have higher susceptibility to getting the flu, in particular those who have upper respiratory illnesses, perhaps asthma, those pre-existing conditions that typically need to be treated year-round. We want to make sure that those individuals get a flu shot. Okay? 3 actions we'd like for you to take is, of course, take time to get a flu shot. It is still the best protection available for anyone here in the United States. Take everyday prevention steps. I think you can and you should to stop the spread of flu by washing your hands, covering your cough, and as well as when you sneeze. Stay home when you're sick, and as well as keep your children home when they're sick. I think those are very important. Individuals tend not to stay home when they get ill for a variety of reasons, so we want to encourage you, if you can, by all means, stay home when you're sick and get yourself well. Take flu antiviral drugs as prescribed by your doctor, and of course these drugs can lessen symptoms and shorten the amount of time you may be sick. Everyone older than 6 months old should get a flu shot each year. That's our recommendation for everyone in the public, as again, given the unpredictability of the flu and how it behaves each year. We have a high-dose vaccine available for seniors over the age of 65. The high-dose vaccine typically contains 4 times the amount of antigen, which is a part of the vaccine that's responsible for producing antibodies to protect our elderly against the flu. So we want to encourage those over the age of 65 to take advantage of the high-dose flu vaccine. At the Forsyth County Health Department, every year we provide flu vaccines as well as the high-dose vaccinations for free. So please come to the Forsyth County Health Department. You can see the address here in clinic number 3. No appointment is necessary. You can see our clinic hours Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday from 8:30 a.m. to 3:45. We hold flu clinics, and Thursday from 9:30 a.m. to 6:45 p.m. I think that's important because if you don't have an opportunity to come during the day, that is an evening clinic after 5 for you to come by and take advantage of your free flu shot. And then on Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 11:45 p.m. And again, so please come and take advantage of getting a free flu shot here in Forsyth County. Thank you very much. Are there any questions?
Do you have a message for people who are like very adamant about not getting a flu shot every year?
So the question is, do I have a message for anyone who is very adamant about not getting the flu shot every year? I don't know if you all remember, but about 15 or 20 years ago, there was a flu vaccine shortage in the United States. And the Centers for Disease Control asked all of us in local health departments and doctors' offices to put a program in place for disseminating the flu vaccine. I think because people heard there was a shortage, everybody wanted to show up, and it seems like they did. And so we made sure to provide that vaccine to the most vulnerable, as you saw in my presentation before. So those individuals who had the priority were children, seniors, and those who had upper respiratory issues or pre-existing health conditions. And but even though those individuals, should have a priority in any situation, we still want to encourage everyone, even those individuals that are very reluctant to getting the flu. There is a concept called herd immunity. And very simply put, if you imagine, one individual standing by him or herself, and then of course a group of people, as I'm trying to illustrate, without, slides, those individuals, if they all have received a vaccine against the flu, and we have this other individual coming along to hang out with the group, our group, have, from a herd perspective, and from the perspective of everyone with protection, it will inevitably, have a higher probability of not attracting or getting the flu from an outside source, because they are all protected from a herd immunity perspective. That's the same message we share, of course, with vaccinations for children as well. So herd immunity is very important. And so I would encourage, to answer your question explicitly, everyone, whether you're healthy or whether you fall in that category of the most vulnerable, you're better off getting a flu shot to protect yourself, because I do believe it'll shorten up the time span by which you might get sick, and the probability of you getting your family members sick, your children sick, and perhaps your coworkers sick as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions? Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Marlon, for that good information. Are there any more questions for the emergency management community? If not, we'll hear from our Winston-Salem Fire Department, led by our able chief, Mayo.
Thank you, Mel. Good morning. I'm Trey Mayo. I'm the fire chief for the city of Winston-Salem. I'd like to start off this morning by recognizing two firefighters who have lost their lives in the line of duty. The first is Robert Young. He was a firefighter who died November 17th, 1918. He had about 3,000 people, they estimate, had gathered in front of the jail to protest a domestic situation that had happened the day prior, and the fire department had joined with the police department and the home guard in trying to control the rioters. And at some point the decision was made to use a hose stream from a fire apparatus to disperse the crowd, and firefighter Young was on top of a fire truck trying to disperse the crowd with the hose stream, and he was shot and killed by one of the rioters. The other was Fire Chief Harry Nissen. Chief Nissen was killed November 28, 1932 as a result of an automobile crash. Chief Nissen was killed responding to a box alarm. This is when we still had pool boxes on utility poles around the city. He was killed at the intersection of Cherry and 6th Street when a Greyhound bus ran the red light and struck the chief's vehicle on the passenger side. The chiefs back then were more fortunate than the chiefs of today. Chief Nissen had a driver. I don't have a driver. So Chief Nissen was riding on the passenger side and was killed in the crash. His driver, whose name was firefighter Jenkins, I don't know his first name, he suffered a skull fracture in the crash and lost the sight in one of his eyes. As a result of that, Winston-Salem was the first fire department, as far as we know, was the first fire department in the country to have what we would know today as a fire apparatus mechanic who was certified to work on fire apparatus by the American LaFrance Fire Apparatus Company, which at the time was certainly the preeminent and probably the largest fire apparatus manufacturer in the United States. So if we can take just a moment to remember firefighter Robert Young and Chief Harry Nissen. Thank you. I would also, in recognition of Veterans Day, like to recognize all the veterans, as Chief Roundtree did earlier, who are working in our public safety departments, particularly in the Winston-Salem Fire Department. I also make you aware of a program that is called Green Light a Vet. This is one of those programs like a couple of others that are are in place in the country where people place a green light bulb in a porch light or in a prominent location in a window in their home to show their support for our veterans and the sacrifices they have made for our country's freedom. Presentations by the fire department this morning will be made by Assistant Chief Frank Stowe. Chief Stowe heads our logistics division, and then he will be followed by Assistant Fire Marshal Angie Sowell, who works out of our Fire Prevention Bureau. Chief Stowe will be talking about the Firefighters Protective Ensemble and the investments the fire department makes in providing for that ensemble. And Assistant Fire Marshal Sowell will talk about the National Fire Protection Association's Remembering When program, and she'll also talk about cooking safety, something that you all have heard us talk about before. The problem is not getting any better. Thanksgiving is a hot month in terms of having cooking fires. Angie will talk about that. And then immediately following this news conference, some members of the fire department and our marketing and communications department, we're going to move over to Central Fire Station, and we're going to film a video on turkey frying safety. And these videos have been done a number of times, but I think what we're going to do this morning is going to be unique. I think it's something that has never been available, not that I'm aware of anywhere. So we're excited about that opportunity. And again, members of the media who are here are welcome to come over and participate as we film that video over at Central Fire Station, just over on Marshall Street. This video will be made available. It'll be available Monday for media use. It'll be on the city's website. And we're also using social media in a targeted marketing effort with this video. We'll be steering this out to about 23,000 men. That's where we have that's where we have our problems with turkey fryer safety. But this will be a targeted effort to 23,000 men in the Winston-Salem area who have through various mechanisms made us aware that they are interested in turkey frying, barbecuing, grilling, those sorts of things. So again, please come over if you have a few minutes and join us for that over at Central after this. Chief Stowe.
Good morning. My name is Frank Stowe, Assistant Chief over Logistics with the Winston-Salem Fire Department. I'm always excited about an opportunity to share with you about the business that we do and especially how we do our business. What I want to speak with you briefly about on this morning is what we call part of our ensemble, which is our turnout gear. Turnout gear is the coat. The coat consists of three parts, what we call a outer shell, a moisture barrier, and a thermal liner. I could take a long time to explain all this to you, or you can go online and check it out. But briefly, what this does is this outer shell, it just protects us, and it's tested at about 1,200 degrees. So it's tested according to the National Fire Protection Association, which you would probably know as NFPA. So it is tested that it will take that amount of heat for a certain amount of time. What the moisture barrier does is anything that gets wet on the outside of this coat, it doesn't allow it to penetrate to the firefighter's back. And what this thermal barrier, what the thermal liner does is it also controls the heat that the firefighter has to take on his body, his or her body. With that being said, over the last year, the Winston-Salem Fire Department has purchased 409 sets of turnout gear to the price of $587,368.99. And you say, well, why did you purchase 409 sets of gear? We purchased 409 sets of gear so that each of our firefighters will have 2 sets of gear. So you say, well, why do they need 2 sets of gear? Well, firefighters, as we go out and fight fire, we run into all types of contaminants, all types of situations where we don't want to put that gear back on again. So we provide our firefighters with our 2 sets of gear so that they will always have a clean set of gear. Also, studies have shown that contaminants that we get on our turnout gear during firefighting processes or during other hazardous situations, those contaminants can make us sick and to the point of even causing cancer. So we, at all times, are seeking to make sure that our firefighters are safe at all times, making sure that we take care of them so that they can live a long life during their firefighting career and during retirement. At this time, I will entertain any questions that you might have. There are none. We thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Angela Sal. I'm Assistant Fire Marshal with the Winston-Salem Fire Department. Last week, Sabrina Stowe and I, who are members of the Fire and Life Safety Division, attended a conference called Remembering When. This program began in 1997. This program aims at teaching fire and life safety skills to older adults and longing to activate prior knowledge about fire and falls-related incidents. It also triggers the idea that personal actions can reduce risk of fire and falls-related injuries. The program also emphasizes on 8 fires and 8 fall prevention messages. The Winston-Salem Fire Department will be offering the program for older adults, senior centers, senior groups, as well as any older adult groups who can benefit for the material. Fewer injuries, helping older adults live safely at home longer, reduce demands on emergency medical services is our goal. We will also offer home visits and evaluations if requested. Because approximately 95% of adults aged 65 and older live independently, some of the challenges these residents may experience is walking, seeing and hearing, cognitive impairment, moving slowly, side effects from medication, having trouble with maintenance within the home. Falls and all leading causes falls are the leading cause of unintentional and non-fatal injuries among adults older than 65. So anyone who would like to have the presentation, contact Sabrina Stowe at 336-773-7965. Holiday safety. The kitchen is the heart of home, especially during Thanksgiving. Kids love to be involved in holiday presentations and preparing the food. Safety in the kitchen is important, especially on Thanksgiving Day, when there are a lot of activities and people within your home. There are more kitchen fires on Thanksgiving Day than any other day in the year. The Winston-Salem Fire Department responds to kitchen fires more than one every other day. Between November the 1st through November the 9th, there has been 5 kitchen-related calls. Nationally, 45 of the fires are kitchen fires, but within Winston-Salem, it's over 50%. Safety tips. Stay in the kitchen when you are cooking on the stove so that you can keep your eye on the food. Stay in the home when cooking your turkey and check on it frequently. The kids are running around, and when they're near the stove, make sure they are at least 3 feet away. Make sure kids stay away from hot food and liquids. The steam or splash from vegetables, gravy, or coffee can cause serious burns. Keep the floor clear so that you don't trip over toys, kids, pocketbooks, and bags. Keep knives out of the reach of children. Be sure electrical cords from any cooking appliances are not dangling off the counter within reach of any children. Keep matches and lighters out of the reach of children, up high and locked in a cabinet. And never leave a kid alone with a lit candle. And make sure that your smoking alarms are working by pressing the test button on your smoke detector. This concludes the press briefing. Are there any questions? Please remember that the Winston-Salem Fire Department will be demonstrating a turkey frying safety at Engine 1 following the press conference, and you all are invited to attend. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Chief Stowe and Assistant Fire Marshal Sowell. This concludes the November Public Safety News Conference for the City of Winston-Salem. Before we wrap it up, are there any questions for any of the agencies represented? All right, thank you. We'll look forward to seeing you in December.